Breaking habits that's holding you back can definitely be hard, especially when you don't know what those habits are. Um, Habits, they may feel small, but the cost of a bad habit compounds over the years and can turn into something really big before you know it. Time goes by really fast, and if you have a bad habit, it can become a problem. So, what you want to do to even figure out, because what you want to do to even figure out what these habits are, because sometimes they are out of our awareness, is to maybe track one thing that you know that you're doing, um, just one week, just to see what you're doing with it. And while you're tracking it, don't judge yourself. It's just for data. It's just to figure out what the habit is and how often you do the habit. And when you see the frequency, how many times that you actually are doing this habit, what is triggering this habit, that will actually tell the story about yourself, and if this habit is something that has gotten bigger than you were really aware of. And what you would do is try to replace one specific behavior, uh, and not just use your willpower. Just try to replace it with one specific behavior. And when you swap out this habit, you want to be really gentle with yourself. Even if you catch yourself breaking the habit or breaking the good habit that you're trying to replace it with. But sometimes just replacing it, trying to replace it with a lot of good habits, uh, that will help you to kind of crowd out the other habit, because most of the times you don't break bad habits. What you do is you crowd them out with good habits. But if you are not aware of how many times that you actually have a habit and how many times that you actually have this behavior, then it would not seem like a big thing to you until you see how it is on paper and you see how many times that you do it. And then you actually find out the triggers for this habit. It could be it could be a lot of different things that cause your habit, but most of the time you will know uh, what it is when you are tracking. You will see that, okay, every time that I go and get a soda, this happens, or every time I get a cigarette, this happens. And it might be a few different triggers. It might not just be one trigger. But you'll be able to count each of those triggers to see exactly what is causing this. And then once you see the full story of yourself, then you'll see the story that you're showing to everyone else, because that's the weird thing about habits. You might not even see something as a habit, but the people around you do. It could be the way that you talk, it could be the way that you treat people, it could be the way that you dress, or anything that you do can become a habit. And sometimes this habit could be good, it could be serving you, or it could be bringing you back. The main thing is that we want to make sure that this habit is not holding you back from what you ultimately want to do. So basically, what you want to do is track this habit. You want to identify what the trigger is for this habit. And also, you want to identify the frequency of this habit. And then you will be able to start putting in good habits to try to crowd out this bad habit, because just having willpower sometimes is won't work. But when you actually see what you're doing and how much how much you're doing, how much it is costing you, that's when you will actually try to make a change. And it won't just be willpower that you have, it will be actual data that you have on yourself that's showing you, okay, this is happening. And it might not even be that you break this habit all of a sudden. You know, uh, it could it could be one thing where you do something 20 times a week. You get the data back, you look at that. The next week, you bring it down to 15 times a week. Then the next week, you bring it down to 10 times a week. And then you bring it down to 5 times a week. But this doesn't happen with willpower. Willpower is a little bit of it, but the better thing is to actually bring in better habits to replace this bad habit. Because what happens with willpower is that it creates a vacuum for that space. And uh, when there's a vacuum, then it's easy to go back to the old habit, or even replace it with even a worse habit, or a habit just as bad as what your last one was. Like that's so you want to be ready to replace it uh, with something that's a better habit. You have to have that on deck, because you don't want to just get rid of this habit and then have nothing ready to go in its place, because that's what causes a lot of the pain and a lot of the, you know, people wondering why they keep on doing things over and over again and they can't change. And it's because they don't replace it with a better habit. But the first step, of course, like I said before, is awareness. You must become aware of what you're doing, and then you could plan these better habits. And once you see the frequency and you see the triggers, you could plan these better habits. Uh, and you'll be able to try to crowd out, maybe not just stop cold turkey, but just crowd out little by little your bad habit until one day and it's a thing of the past. Okay, I thank everybody that stayed with me this long. If you please comment, subscribe, and share. And thanks. Have a good one.